The point of business is to make a profit, not to provide health insurance for a bunch of, people that it employs or a bunch of other people who it doesn't even get to employ and gets no benefit from. The whole point of business is profit. You having a job is a byproduct of business, needing somebody to do something for them. And to attract better people to do their business for them, they started providing health insurance as a supplement to a wage. People need to get off of this entitlement crap. That people just make me sick. Can you do anything? Can you do anything without the government helping you? Can you? Really? We're not proving it. These guys on the Young Turks are just that whole entitlement mentality. They just act like, duh, the rich 1%. Yeah, those rich 1%, if we start to lose the rich 1%, guess what goes with it? The jobs they provide. Yet not everybody's a trader, that is self-employed or whatever. And people actually have businesses. And those people that have businesses provide employment to Americans. I know we don't like to think about them as useful. We like to think of them as greedy cretins who are only worthy of our disdain. But that's not the case. You're an idiot if you think we can just keep taxing the 1% of the wealthiest and they're just going to go along with it. You know, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of theirs, but what I am saying is they're a necessary evil. You know, some people like Bill Gates and other people, they gave a lot of money to charities and things. They started their own charities. Warren Buffett and the whole, you know, the whole rich 1%, they give a lot of money to charity. They do a lot of good things for humanity, for mankind. They provide jobs, and a lot of them are high-paying jobs. They provide a lot of necessary things in the private sector, that boost Americans up and raise their level of living and give them that income that's going to let them get some private property, maybe even start their own business someday. God only, I mean, we cannot just keep asking of the 1%. We just can't. It's just so silly, and I see these people doing this all the time. Well, so those people are greedy. I can't believe you'd stand up for them. They provide jobs. The government can't do it as effectively. Otherwise, the Soviet Union would have worked. We wouldn't be sitting here basking in the afterglow of the Soviet Union's collapse. They would have won. Right? I mean, haven't we seen it? They tried to deal with us, and we dealt with them. Free market economics works. We rule. And I just, this whole entitlement mentality thing, by now, if you've seen my videos before, just drives me insane. I am not a rich guy. I have a small home out in the hinterland in Illinois. I am not a rich guy. This is not a trust fund, baby. I work way more than most. But what I've got, I'm proud of. What I've got, I earned. Okay? And there's a sense of pride in earning something and not needing a handout. I'm not saying I've gone my whole life without needing a handout. I have. You know, but the thing is, that's not where I want my bread buttered. I want to butter it myself. I make decisions myself, I think, a little better than government would make them for me. Um, you know, I really hate this whole idea that the health care that the government will provide is going to be somehow better than the private sector. Because right now, through a lack of tort reform, through ridiculous Food and Drug Administration regulations, and a whole host of other government, you know, scenarios, we have a lot of burden on our medical system. If you could, there was a few people that I've seen on the news recently that were willing to do their practice for a lot less. Their office visits they were trying to make them cheaper, just to try to drive down healthcare costs and make it more affordable to people who maybe didn't have a bunch. And that was so cool. I'm sitting there thinking, that's the American way. This guy he's in competition. You know, he's got other doctors down the way that are probably as good as he is, he's figuring. Okay, and I do something that's important. So why don't I just go ahead and make my prices a little lower? You can come to a competent physician. You can get my medical advice, get my treatment, and my office visits will cost $60 out the door. You know, I'm just going to cut costs on my own. The government wouldn't let them do it. The government said you couldn't do that because you'd be in competition with other things that they have going on that were more like they wanted them to charge like 110. That's ridiculous. You know, a guy is trying to drop the prices of healthcare, which is exactly what this government option is supposed to be about. They wouldn't even let him do it. You know, they don't want an option that's private. That's the problem. They want only the government option. Otherwise, they really wouldn't care, and they wouldn't start writing language in that says if you don't have a private policy after the first day of the following year when the bill is signed, you can't really change your policy, and you can't, if you lose that policy, you're done. You got to go on the government stuff. And even if you maintain your own private stuff through your employer or by yourself, you're still going to end up paying some form of a penalty in the form of raised taxes. Because we all know how the government is. It's all a giant slush fund. Every tax dollar that comes in, and they're ever increasing, all goes to whatever they need it for today. It's like a giant Ponzi scheme. And the more dollars that we're willing to impart to the government, the more they will waste. And that is just not the way it should be. That's not how our founders saw it, and that's not how we should see it. It's ridiculous, and I'm so saddened by these, a bunch of young academics over at, the Young Turks and other places that just, they don't get it. You know, you need to ask yourself at some point when you're thinking about government largesse, what did my fellow man do to fall into my debt? What did they do wrong to fall into my debt? Because they're having to pay for me, and I don't give a damn how you figure it. They didn't. If anything, you have fallen into their debt. But I know you don't see it that way because you've got this entitlement mentality if you're a young Turk. You think that people exist to take care of you. That's the difference between conservatives and liberals today. Conservatives want you to leave them alone, and they offer you nothing but freedom, or at least a chance to be left alone and not even acknowledged. Whereas the liberals want everybody to come in closer, so that we can get you and start telling you how to live your life, how much taxes you're going to pay to your brother who can't afford what you have, and how you should feel ashamed and you are greedy for, in fact, having what you have and wanting to have more. Conservatives, libertarians offer freedom. You take care of you, I'm going to take care of me. As long as I'm not hurting you, you should just have nothing to say to me. And the liberals, it's like freaking Robin Hood. And I used to like the story of Robin Hood. I really did. Until I figured out that it's it's basically like the mantra of the communists. Steal from the rich to give to the poor. Wow. I never thought I'd be on the side of the sheriff of Nottingham. Wow, how the liberals have changed my mind.